Hello, everyone. I'm Lance Ferrato, Director of Licensing and Code Enforcement at the City of Reno. Tonight, we're here to talk about nonprofit organization and registration possibilities. With me is Alex Taylor. She's the management analyst for the business licensing department, and she's going to be assisting here. I'm going to go through and give a quick presentation, just kind of share some information and get some discussion points, discussion topics going. And then if anybody would like to speak, then you'll just raise your hand in the waiting room and Alex will unmute you and we'll take some notes. And as I mentioned, this is going to be recorded, so you're always going to be able to go back and rewatch it, and it'll be on the website once we get that once we get the recordings back. So at this point, I will share my screen and we'll go over my presentation. All right, Alex, can you see that? Great. Okay, so a little background on why we're here. Council requested a presentation on nonprofit organization registration on April 23rd. This topic has come up many times. I've been at the city about 5 years and it's come up multiple times, but finally it came to a head and the council requested that we talk about it, bring it forward and discuss it a bit. So the reason being concerns regarding planning review and zoning restrictions were the main topic of interest, but as well as public safety. And I'll get into that a little bit as we go through this. June 11th, I brought a staff report to council. They ultimately ended up directing me to go and do this process, do some community outreach, get some input from constituents and NPOs across the city, and then to return with some draft language to discuss with them. So at this point, we're just gathering feedback. We have no language at all. We are just getting input, putting things together. And what will ultimately happen is I'll head back to council and share that information. And then we will discuss language if council decides to move forward at all. So obviously, all of you are here because you know about, or you care about, or you work with nonprofit organizations. So I don't have to be, I don't have to get into this too much, but they're obviously formed for benefit society or a specific cause in most cases. And because of that, in many jurisdictions, they're exempt from business licensure or registration. So why we're here is Reno Municipal Code specifically defines business, and what one thing it exempts is organizations that are certified tax exempt entities pursuant to 501(c)(3). So obviously you're exempt. Council wants to know basically where you are, and that's what we're getting in here with their concerns. Council is in the past they have run into issues where they have approved incompatible uses next door to each other. There's many people that have made comments that this is just hypothetical. It's not a hypothetical. It has happened multiple times. Another issue that we're coming across is surveys are very difficult because these MPOs can't be identified when they're required by code to do a survey, or even when the city does a survey. If they're not identified and they're not marked, and the buildings are maybe just unmarked on purpose, maybe for a specific reason, like they're a domestic abuse center or something like that, it's very difficult to identify where these are. So businesses can be approved and projects can be approved right next door in certain circumstances, and it causes issues. The safety portion of it is that existing buildings wouldn't require an inspection. So if an NPO goes into a building that's already existing, there's no eyes on it from the building department's perspective, the health department, the fire department. Generally speaking, when a business goes into a building that's already existing, they do all the inspections to ensure that there haven't been any additions, there haven't been any remodels, that everything's safe. But we don't have those eyes on those buildings. So that's another reason that council wanted us to look into this. Some quick information just on the city. It sounds like there's a little over 2,000 nonprofit organizations in Reno, and only 317 are registered with us at the city. That's a voluntary process, and unfortunately, I don't know how accurate those records are because of the fact that if they were to close down, we wouldn't necessarily know about it. We don't keep in touch and make them renew when they come in and get registered, or we ask them to get registered. That might be the only contact we ever have with them. So that 317 is what we have, but I'm not exactly positive how accurate it is. So speaking to other jurisdictions, I know a lot of people have asked about this. It's very different across the country. A lot of the West Coast, I've seen cities here and there in every state on the West Coast that require some sort of registration. Many cities don't do anything at all. If they do require something, it's usually a very nominal fee, and inspections can be required for commercial buildings as well for the same reasons that I just mentioned previously. So a few discussion points. If any of you haven't seen the survey, I highly recommend you go do it and take it. That's going to be our primary, excuse me, our primary way of gathering this feedback. So I've put a couple of the questions on here just to get some topics of a discussion going. So should NPOs be required to register? If no, then that's that. But if so, should there be a fee? And should those fees be potentially proportionate to the size of the nonprofit? Another would be, if required to register, should the review and inspection fees be imposed on organizations that maintain a commercial location open to the public? So again, if someone were to offer services to the public where you could walk into a building, is this something where the building department and the health department, fire department should all have access to be able to ensure that the building's safe? And if so, should those fees be the same rate as a business licensee, or should they be at a reduced rate? And then a couple other topics here. If they were required to register, how do you think this would affect the ability to serve the community? If the city does not require it, how do you think it would impact the city's ability to plan? And then lastly, if required to register, what sort of confidentiality should be afforded here? So those are the kind of the topics that I think we need to discuss, and I'm happy to hear everything that anybody's got to say. Um, Looks like we have about Actually, I'm not positive. Looks about 30 people in the room. Everybody wants to say their piece. Happy to listen. So we're just going to go in order, and as you raise your hands, Alex will unmute you. I will pull down this presentation here, or I'm going to leave. I'm sorry, I'll leave this presentation up right here so that you can see, and we're going to copy in the link to the survey into the chat here, so that you have access if you haven't already done it, and then also you can submit any outside comments. If you don't want to do the survey, if you just want to share information in general, you can write that to blcode@reno.gov, and that goes straight to me, Alex and I, and we sort that, and we're going to put that all in the presentation to council. And then just for more general information, you can go to the business licensing website, reno.gov/business licensing, and you can navigate through a couple clicks, and it'll take you right to that page where all this information's at, and you can complete the survey as well. So, with that, happy to take questions and hear your comments and answer things if you do have questions, and we'll go from there.
All right, William, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is William Puchert. I lead a cultural nonprofit. I'm the president of the Sons and Daughters of Erin. We're an Irish heritage nonprofit organization. We do not have a building. We have a PO box, and my home address is used for any type of physical address. Is this policy or this ordinance that's being drafted, or suggested ordinance, going to apply to small nonprofits, volunteer-run nonprofits like ours, or is it mainly focused on nonprofits that own property where zoning is concerned?
Yeah, thanks for that comment. I don't want to speak for council, but the gist of what I understand is in a case like this, when maybe you are, you're situated at home and there are no zoning, implications, there are technically no safety implications because you're working out of a residence, it's probably not as big of a concern for council as far as planning and safety goes. At the end of the day, if they wanted to just say like we need a registry of all of them, it may apply. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility that we could bring forward and share that, maybe this only applies to places that have a commercial access to the public. Again, I don't want to speak for council at this point, but that's definitely worth noting. So yeah, we'll take note of that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Iris, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can begin speaking.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm Iris Daly Papard. I'm the executive director of One Truckee River, and I strongly disagree with the idea of a nonprofit being required to do a business license. We're a nonprofit, we're not a business. There's a reason that the federal government gives us tax exemption. And if I understand, if you want to keep track and have nonprofits register, but adding a fee to it, that's a business license. And so honestly, I think it's unfair. It's not right. And for all that the nonprofits do for our community, it's really discouraging that this is even coming up. And when can we, when is the time to tell this to city council? When will it be on the agenda?
Thanks, Iris. No tentative dates yet. So basically what's going to happen next is after we close the survey, which I'm going to assume we'll probably leave it open for obviously through this week and maybe another week after that. We'll gather all the information and put it in a staff report. I'm guessing that this won't go back to council until the new year. If I had to guess, I'd say January would probably be enough time for us to get a report together, get through the holidays and get it there. So if you're on the list to get information here, we'll gladly reach back out and let you know when it's going to be on an agenda, and then you can come share your piece with public comment as well, which is always good.
Okay, and I hope it's passed on because it really is unfortunate that the city's going in this direction.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jeff Brank with the Center for Nonprofit Business and just wanted to share the same sentiment. I don't think this is a good proposal for nonprofits to introduce a new tax. I do think there's some legitimacy into understanding where nonprofits might be, but I think it's also important to note that I think the last number that I saw was over 60% of nonprofits in Washoe County do not have physical space. And so if the city's goal is to understand where nonprofits are, I don't think that a new business licensing proposal would be it. There is existing data already accessible to the city to learn these. For instance, every nonprofit's required to file a 990 with the IRS. All that information is publicly available and easily accessible. In fact, we have local nonprofits here in town that actually keep track of some of that, so the city could potentially participate in that route. But yeah, we don't need to do it. And if the goal is to figure out where nonprofits are, there are existing reliable databases that are already out there. So I don't know that any new regulation is needed or warranted at this time. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
I don't have any other hands raised. If you'd like to speak at this time, feel free to raise your hand and I'll move you over. Okay. Go ahead, Nick. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great, thanks. Hi, this is Nick Sheeker with Truckee Meadows Tomorrow. I'm the executive director, and I just wanted to echo the earlier comments from Iris and Jeff. I think that there is ample information already regarding the nonprofit sector, and the 990s are an excellent way to start with that. TMT, Truckee Meadows Tomorrow, is also starting an inventory of different nonprofits in the area, so we'd be happy to explore being a data partner if that would be of assistance. So feel free to reach out if that would be helpful.
Great. That's great information. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Sorry, give me 1 second to find. Here we go. Maria, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Marie Kruger with the Reno Sparks Gospel Mission, and we currently don't have a position on this yet. We're still gathering information. We do have commercial presences, multiple presences. I don't know how that would be determined when a nonprofit has more than one facility. if it would be umbrellaed under to our admin offices, number one. But number two, I want you to be aware that faith-based nonprofits do not have to file 990s. So that will not be a complete system. There are many, many faith-based nonprofits. We are one. And we do have to have audits, but we do not file 990s. Never have. So there's that. I agree with the commenters before. There's data out there, but it's not simply accepting one particular list as being able to provide all the information. That's all.
Thanks, Marie. That's good to know. Especially on the good point on having multiple locations. So that's something to think about as well. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Lance, Alex. I really appreciate the transparency of this process. I appreciate the opportunity to comment. My name is Sean Hill. I'm the CEO of a local nonprofit, Sierra Nevada Journeys. And we got our start about 20 years ago in the back of a climbing gym in Reno, sort of a scrappy upstart. And I appreciate the commenters earlier. I want to just kind of highlight a different take from this, and that is that a lot of the nonprofit organizations in our community are actively serving vulnerable populations and really stepping in where government services can't always step in. And so I do appreciate that the city, it might be helpful for the city to understand who is in the community and where they're serving. But I would recommend that if that's the main driver here, that it would be registration with no fees. I think tacking on fees to nonprofits who are trying to uplift the community in this way could be detrimental to some of the budgets for nonprofit organizations in our community. Thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Thanks very much.
Alrighty, I don't have anyone else. Again, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. I also did put the survey link in the chat, so you guys can all see it, and you can also visit the survey through our website, reno.gov/business license.
Alex, can you copy that link in there as well, just to the page, just so that it's in there, and we'll leave it for a few minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Cheyenne, go ahead and unmute yourself and you begin speaking.
Hi there. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Good. I'm Cheyenne Sauter. I'm with AHA Projects. I'm currently own a building in the city of Reno, and we're
Oops. Sorry, Cheyenne, I accidentally cut you off there.
no problem. Am I back?
Yes, you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going through the development and construction phase, and so there's tons of communication right now with the city of Reno through permitting and the safety of our building, fire life safety issues, and we're complying with all of those. And it's, great that we have those checks and balances as we're going to be bringing in and letting people use space for offices and events and the like. So we feel like the city has a good handle on when our location and to the safety. When you're in a lease situation as a nonprofit, that responsibility doesn't fall on the nonprofit. It should fall on the business owner. And so saying that a nonprofit should register to show their location for the purposes of safety is kind of an odd place to put us when that should fall into the land ownership or the owner's plate. It seems that in order to do something like this, create a large database of nonprofits, we're going to have to create many exceptions and parse through the variety of ways nonprofits organize themselves. And it will get very complicated very quickly, as you saw from the, Maria Kruger with the faith-based organization and various ones kind of in their houses and all over the place. It's going to be very, very hard. I think a great way to look at this would be to say, look, the city of Reno wants to join the efforts that are already in place in creating and strengthening the data that we've collected on how many nonprofits are in Reno and the types of services being offered by our NPO community in the city of Reno, and helping us kind of organize that with Nick at TMT and various other places so that we can strengthen our NPO community. I do want to echo everyone else's agreement that I don't think this should be, there should be a fee included at all. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Okay, Mike, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. And I don't want to be redundant. There's been some good comments made. I do appreciate having the opportunity to listen in on this conversation. My name is Mike Worm. I'm the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows, Boys and Girls Club. And I agree that if revenue generating is not the intent of this, I don't think I would have an issue with the Boys and Girls Club registering as a nonprofit. I could see a benefit of knowing where all the nonprofits were at and who is actually registered as a nonprofit. But especially for an organization like ours, I did answer the questions in the survey, so a lot of the sentiment was captured in that. But to charge, if there was going to be a fee, then to charge more because you're a large organization or charge more because you have multiple sites, then I do think that would become a hindrance for organizations like ours that are already accepting a big burden and raising money in the community, and servicing populations that aren't typically caught in all the other funding sources out there. So, but again, appreciate the opportunity to listen in on this and have a comment towards it too. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, William, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I do have a follow-up question. With respect to events, my organization hosts an annual Celtic festival. And do you see this ordinance, or are you exploring anything to do with events?
Not at this time. We do have a broader discussion going on with special events and the special events code. It's another chapter. It's a completely separate project that will come down eventually. But it does address special events chapter does talk about nonprofit organizations, and it talks about fundraisers and things like that. But it's code that was written years and years ago, and it needs to be revised. Frankly, so that's not going to be a part of this discussion, but it's definitely on our radar.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All righty, I don't have anyone else, but someone did just chat here. I think only Lance and myself can see it, but it stated that there's an understanding that the Reno Chamber of Commerce has a complete list of the 900 plus NPOs, and so we are aware of that list, I believe.
Yeah, I do know that they have a list. And again, from what I can tell on websites that go out and scrape and do the thing, try to gather all this information. We have over 2,000 in Reno, 2,800 in the metro area. Those lists, and unfortunately, all of our lists, any lists that we create, are only as good as our our ability to find the organizations, or for them to come in and see us. But yes, we are using that information, and we will be in touch with the chamber with these discussions as well as we move forward, because I know that they're obviously a large stakeholder, representing many businesses, profit and nonprofit. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised here, Lance.
Okay, great. If nobody else has any other questions or comments at this time, again, I just want to remind you that if you haven't completed the survey, please do, and pass it on to anyone you think would be interested. It's very valuable information, and like I said, these comments, as well as the comments we gather in the data we gather in the survey, will be the primary subject or topic of discussion at the council meeting. So I look forward to seeing where this goes. And if any of you feel that you want to come to public comment, then obviously, like I said, keep an eye out for the agenda. We will send an email to to the group of interested stakeholders. There's also a part on the website that you can put your email in there. And we'll let everybody know when this is going to be on an agenda so that everyone can come and say their piece. So appreciate your time and thanks very much for participating.